In this video, I would like to talk about some basic concepts in ArchiCAD, the concept of origins. We have three main origins in ArchiCAD. They are called the project origin, the user origin, and the edit origin. Let us first define the project origin. The project origin is a location which always stays the same for the entire life of the project. This, in our project here, is the project origin. Basically, everything within the internal data structure of the file is measured from this point. So every wall, every element is measured from this point. And so this is basically a global reference point for the whole project. In 2D viewpoints, the project origin is marked with an X, as you can see it here. It is also shown in 3D. If we go to the 3D window, the project origin in the 3D window is shown with a coordinate system which shows the X, Y, and Z directions of the global coordinate systems. These lines that you see here are each 1 meter long. It's a little bit more than 3 feet. The next origin is the user origin. Basically, this is an origin that you as a user can set to anywhere you want. The user origin is useful for creation of elements, for input of elements, either numerically or graphically, because the coordinates will be measured from the user origin. As you can see here in the coordinate box, I have my user origin and my project origin are at the same location at the moment. I will show you the difference between the two. And as you can see, as I move my cursor, the X and Y and the radius and angle fields all show the current position of my cursor relative to this origin. I can relocate the user origin to anywhere I want. One of the ways to do this is to press the Shift-Alt key combination, or on the Mac it's a Shift-Opt key combination, and find any point. For example, this is a node of a fill, and if I push the Alt-Shift right now, then the user origin has been moved to this exact location. Now at this point you can see the difference between the user origin and the project origin. As you can see, the user origin is marked with this black cross, and the project origin is now marked with the same color as the grid. But as you can see, it has not moved. It never moves. It always stays the same at the same position, and it is always marked. So what is the user origin is good for? We can measure things relative to it when we create and modify elements. For example, I can see that this line, this point, from the coordinate box we could see that it is 2,500 millimeters from the user origin. Now, the third origin is called the edit origin. It appears when we start to edit new elements. For example, if I have this line and I take this end node of the line and start moving it, notice that the user origin has disappeared from here, and now we have the origin here. But at this moment we call this an edit origin because we are editing an element. And so basically the edit origin appears during editing of elements, and the user origin appears when there is no editing occurring. So if I cancel this operation, then the edit origin disappears from here and the user origin again appears. Basically, the biggest difference between the user origin and the edit origin is that coordinates, if you set coordinates to absolute coordinates, either here in the coordinate box or here in the tracker, then coordinates will be shown relative to the user origin. If you set relative coordinates, it will be shown to the edit origin. Let's see what I mean. For example, here I start to move this line. Now, as you can see, the tracker shows the distance and the angle, but notice where the origin is. It is here. And so now it is the edit origin. The user origin is here. So we can see that the measurements, the coordinates and angles are shown relative to the edit origin. Let me cancel this. Here in the tracker, we can set whether we want to use relative coordinates in the tracker or absolute. If I uncheck this toggle, this now was set to relative. Now I set it to absolute. Now watch what happens. I start to edit this line, but the origin doesn't appear, the edit origin. This is because now we are using absolute coordinates, and absolute coordinates are measured relative to the user origin. So even though these are the end lines of my line, the distances are measured from another point. So this can be useful if you have your line, for example, I don't know, you want to move your line, let's say 3000 millimeters from that point. It will now be moved there. So again, the fundamental difference between the user origin and the edit origin is absolute coordinates are measured to the user origin, relative to user origin. Relative coordinates are measured relative to the edit origin. Now, another interesting thing is that, as I said, you can move these origins anywhere you want. One of the ways is that you find a node and press Alt-Shift or Option-Shift on the Mac, and the other way is that you have the Set User Origin button on the standard toolbar. You can click this button and you can click anywhere you want. And it doesn't have to be a node of an element. So this is useful when the point you want to set your user origin to is not at the node of a certain element. You can return the user origin to the project origin by pressing or double-clicking the user origin button. Now I double-click the user origin button, the standard toolbar, and the user origin has returned to the project origin. Let me show you another thing. I set the user origin here again, and now I start to edit this line. As you can see, the edit origin appeared here, but while I am in editing mode, I can move my edit origin wherever I want. So for example, I can find this node and I can press Alt-Shift or Option-Shift on Mac, and the edit origin has moved to this point. So it's very flexible that you can set your user origin anywhere you want or your edit origin anywhere you want, whichever position is most helpful in your element creation and modification. So this was a quick overview of the origins in ArchiCAD.